Hi friends, strangers, internet. My name is Emily of Imperfectly Em, and I love colorful makeup and colorful language. And I'm here today with my top 10 2022 beauty favorites. I know. By the time you're seeing this, it's damn near February. It's 2023. Who cares about 2022? I mean, look. I don't want to remember 2022. It was not a good year for me on many levels. But I have been thinking about it, and I was like, look, maybe y'all want to see it. I don't know. I asked my patrons and my channel members. They seemed interested. I offered up let me just do the things I bought in 2023. These are my favorites. Or a top 10. And they picked top 10, so that's what we're doing. I want to give a dear shout out to my friend T of Nappy Headed Jojoba. So T did a top 10 favorites. I think it was like beauty, skincare, hair care for Patreon. And I saw that and I was like, top 10 is an interesting concept because I'm a very indecisive person and I like a lot of things. I will say I tend to research what I buy quite a bit. So I'm usually pretty hopeful that I'm picking up something that I'm going to like when I buy it. All of that to say, if you've seen favorites from me before, I have probably talked about all of these products. I'm going to link my roundup last year. Last year I did a lot of favorites videos, and I'm going to link them all in the description box because I think everything in those videos is still a favorite except for one concealer, which I have talked about in terms of changing thoughts. I will link my concealer video so you can go watch that if you want to hear those thoughts. The description box is going to be overflowing with information. If you're curious, I will probably also link all the products that I'm talking about. They're probably going to be affiliate links. They'll be starred if they are. If you're feeling shoppy, affiliate links are a lovely way to support me, but there's a ton of other ways to support me or whatever. If you like colorful makeup, if you like bitches with lots of opinions, or you like cute fat babes, and you are not yet subscribed, I would love for you to change that and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so number one, the first thing I'm going to talk about. I'm not ranking these because this has already been hard enough as an indecisive bitch. But this is something that I've talked about a lot. So there are a lot of glowy base products that I love. But the Wet n Wild Glass Correct Primer Base. This is in Banana. I think this is the third tube I have used in the last, since I discovered it. I mean, it's not done, but it is used. I feel like this is $6 in store. There are two shades. There's a banana and there's a green one. I might try the green one next. Also, I have used this in a ton of videos. I've used it I did a get ready with me with this look. I have filmed this intro twice, so I don't remember what I said. There is a yellowy golden tinge to it, so I'm not sure how this shears out or applies on other skin tones. I've said a million times I would love to see Wet n Wild release more colors in this. This gives me juicy, plump, glowy, dewy skin. It's not oily in any way. I really don't like oily textures, so it's just very plump. My skin always feels like it and looks like it's just juicy. I enjoy the Auric Glow Lust. I also have a liquid illuminator, the Charlotte Tilbury one that I've used as a glowy base, mixed in. I even like mixing this with the Auric Glow Lust and Morganite. But the reason why I ended up picking this as my one glowy base kind of product on my favorites is it's a little bit more emollient and easier to spread out and use as just a moisturizer or a primer under your makeup. The price point is so good, and I have continued to buy it and just used it. It's accessible. It's not so glowy. It does feel more like a glowy, glassy skin thing where there is some shimmer to it, but it's not like a liquid illuminator. Now, I was just saying how I was trying to limit to a product per area, because it would give me the most diversity of my favorites, but I'm a liar because multiple concealers. We have multiple concealers on this list and also multiple blushes. And that damn noise is back. I don't know what the fuck is happening outside. I live in a noisy area, but like I waited for this to stop and now it's back. We're going to give you some high and some low end. The NYX Bare With Me concealer, the serum concealer. I have it in vanilla. It's airless pump. There is a lid. I feel like every time I show this, there is no lid. Mine is disgusting. I use it for graphic liner circles. I'm always throwing it aside. This is just such a beautiful concealer for me and my skin. I think of this as a concealer and a face foundation, face product in one. I know that for a lot of people, they have said that this is not it's not high enough coverage. And I agree with that. It's not a super high coverage product, but because it has such a nice, yet again, bouncy texture to it, where it just makes the skin look really beautifully hydrated and very naturally just like naturally flawless. I find it super easy to work with. Oh my God, that noise is annoying my brain so much. This concealer just to me is one of those really easy, nice to work with formulas. It's also a color that generally works for me without mixing, so I can use it all over the face. I can, it's just so flexible and easy to work with. The noises. Another concealer. I'm having one of those brain days where I'm not enjoying hearing myself talk. And so I'm really trying to just keep filming and not get so annoyed with myself that I just scrap this. In case you feel some frustration outside of what's happening outside, that's that kind of brain day. The Dior Forever Skin Corrector in Too Warm Olive. This, first of all, it's a beast of a package. It's quite a bit of product. It's a warm olive tone, which is just, it's what the fuck I need. I'm this fair, pale yellowy olive, but it's the olive that makes this special to me, because I have used yellow concealers or more yellowy concealers, but I do really need the olive. Here's the thing. I couldn't include this in my top 10 and not include color correctors because I need this light yellow to mix with this. This might even work with a white mixer, but this is just too dark for me, and they don't have a lighter olive concealer, but it's such a lovely formula. I find that it's thin enough that it really can just blend into the skin beautifully. I can layer it up. It's not so thin that it goes crepey or dry feeling for my skin. And it's also a nice texture to mix with another concealer or corrector. For me, I think the tone is so revolutionary. It makes me more excited to reach for it. I have lovely concealers from other brands, but they're more of a peachy, they're too dark, but they're too peachy. And there's something refreshing about it's too dark, but it's the right tone. I don't know. Does that make any sense? But speaking of the color correctors, I dropped the light green one. Anyway, that's fine. The LA Girl Pro Conceal color correctors. It's more of it's less about the product and more about, it is the product though. It's less about the brand and more about the product. I heard wait, that's a different thing. I have my eye on the e.l.f. color correctors. I first thought that they were going to be really drying and intense, but I saw some personal reviews that changed my mind. But just picking up color correctors made me realize, first of all, it helped me fall back in love with some products in my collection, some concealers in my collection that I really had fallen out of love with or had never really connected with because the tone was wrong. And it helped me really like fall in love with like applying. I think Lisa Eldridge has probably talked about it before. I think Katie Jane Hughes has talked about it. I feel like I've seen Danessa Meyerix talk about it. Like kind of like patchwork layering application where you're just applying the products where you need it, which I know doesn't maybe sound that revolutionary, but like the idea of like, no, I could just apply some green color corrector around my nose. I could just apply the concealer where I want it. And because the textures are all nice, they all blend together and my skin shows through, but it's corrected. It's just, this last year has been makeup heaven for me. I find that the color correctors just really, they make me realize just how off a lot of stuff that I owned was. But also, it just makes me more excited to play with my makeup. I said this in, I think it was a Zoom call with friends. We were talking about color correctors, and like for a lot of people, color correctors are very much like full face products. They reach for it when they're really like perfecting. And that's actually the opposite for me because the formula of these are very thin and to me kind of just blend in with the skin so that I feel like, and I usually am wearing less base product than if I was just using a concealer or if I was using like a tinted moisturizer or foundation. These actually feel lighter on my skin, and because they are more like correcting the tones of my skin or mixing in with the concealers, I end up having less product on my face. I think I do at least. I love them. I love the color correctors. I think as I start working through, especially the green one that I have, I'm probably going to see if I can dabble in some other brands. But for now, for the price point and for how regularly I use these, the LA Girl ones they're solid. I hate the packaging, but otherwise. Let's talk blush. Actually, I first have to thank my dear friend Yolanda. Yolanda was a makeup fairy and a wonderful friend that visited in March. And she introduced me to the world of Surratt blushes. They are definitely a favorite. I wish I knew the colors off the top of my head. They're like, some of the packaging in the pans has the colors, but I think one of them doesn't. But I don't know if you can tell the dip in this pink one. That bitch, that's the one. They're actually all beautiful, but like, I know that there is a level of enjoyment that I have to this because it's a gift and because I know it's a fancy brand, it's an expensive brand, but also I just find these to apply and blend beautifully. I can get really beautiful high impact, or I could soften them up. I have one that has more of a sheen to it and the other two are just a very nice soft matte, and I just find them beautiful to work with. There's something about the pink especially. I'm gonna show you a blush right after this that does look close to it, but before I had this trio back in March, I didn't feel like I had this kind of warm pink. I feel like I had some cool pinks, I have peaches. I just felt like I didn't have this like, it's coral, but it's definitely pink. It's not peach. And I love that tone on me. I don't use this one enough. Every time I swatch it, I'm like, that's a peach shade you love. Why aren't you using it? They're just a lovely formula. I've applied these quite a bit, I feel like, on camera. They're just very easy to blend, very easy to apply. Your skin looks super natural, but flushed. Like, one of my biggest, probably unpopular opinions is that you can get a very natural skin finish makeup look with powder products. I know I don't usually look natural because I like to take my glow and my blush to the extreme. But like powders like this they just look beautiful on the skin. They don't feel heavy, but they're not so thin that they, like the powders feel like velvety and almost creamy, but definitely powder. And that kind of texture, I think the another blush that I got during that friend trip was from Minted, and I would say texturally they're close. Minted isn't in this top 10 just because the tone isn't one that I reach for all the time. But the Surratt blushes, mwah. Another blush. The Lethal Cosmetics Glowy Blushes. Motherfucking beautiful. So I purchased, this is really fucking the camera. I purchased these two, and then I received the Teresa is Dead, or no, Lethal is Dead blushes in PR. Blossom, Ornamental, I think this is Plan 9 and Cryostasis. So Blossom is definitely the one that I was like, fuck me up. And it's funny because I'm going to put it next to this, and some of you are probably going to be like, it's similar. So I just applied Blossom, and then we have the other three Surratt blushes. Blossom is such a beautiful, like, bubblegum pink, but it gives such a glossy cheek. So glossy. Yet again, it's a powder formula that I feel like looks it doesn't look heavy, it just looks so beautiful on the skin. I have 4 shades. They all perform beautifully. I feel like they all give me a similar level of shine. I do feel like Plan 9 and Blossom usually end up looking glossier for me, but I think it's because they are lighter tones on my skin. Whereas Cryostasis and Ornamental, I will use them more as like deepening, like back of the cheek, like edge of my hairline tone. So I'm not applying them the same way as like a Blossom and Plan 9 often end up in this like plane of my cheek, which is very easy to buff and get that glossiness happening. I love the tones. Ornamental is such a pretty like mauvey berry tone. Fucking purple. The Cryostasis with Blossom, the pink and purple, so nice. Plan 9 and Blossom look pretty similar when you swatch them out, but I find that Plan 9 is more of that peachy cheek and Blossom is more of that pinky cheek. I love these. You know what? I will take this moment to say, Audra said this, I think, in a live that we did with T, Audra, and I. It was on Audra's channel. Lethal was the brand of 2022 for me. Lethal has been the brand that I think, and Audra said this, but I very much agree, like being the brand of 2022, but I think it is the most improved, and maybe Audra did say that too. We've talked about it a lot off camera, so that's why I'm like, maybe they said that first. They are a brand, in my opinion, that has made such leaps and bounds with formulas, with finishes. With 2022, they had the Nightfall, is it the Nocturnal palette or the Nightfall palette? The purple palette, the fucking purple palette, beautiful palette.
It is actually called the Nightflower palette.
They had this badass motherfucking palette. I love this theme, concept, color story, all of it, textures, finishes. So fucking fun. They had the Teresa is Lethal second collab. There's Lethal is Dead and Teresa's Lethal. I think I said Lethal is Dead earlier. They had that release. They also released more and better multi-chromes. And that'll go right into my next favorite. So I picked up 5 of the 6 that they released, and I fucking love them. The Lethal multi-chromes, and I also got an order of Terra Moon's multi-chromes. I made this order back in May, and there was a lot of shipping situation stuff that happened, so I only got it, I think, November.
October.
And the Lethal Multichromes, I feel like I got like early fall because there was also shipping stuff with that. I have just been in my colorful multichrome love. I really enjoy the like pastel and iridescent multichromes in the Lethal release, and the gray one that I have, Magnitude, the gray based one, Magnitude. And then with Terra Moon Coalescence, which is on my eyes today, and the Cosmos, which are those super flaky multichromes. Just beautiful, beautiful shades. I just love the rise of colorful, not black-based multichromes. And, you know, my order from Terra Moons was pretty hefty. Not every shade is performing exactly the same, but not every shadow is the same price. I'm very happy. I am living my best life. If you've seen any of my palette building videos, I've been raving about different shades. I can't pick like a favorite from either of the orders. So just saying, all of them. Another favorite is probably not very surprising, and that is my artist palette from Glisten Cosmetics that looks a mess, as it always does. This was a collaboration with Rawi Singh, and this is a 9-pan split pan water activated liner palette. So I mean, I used it today. I've used it so much. Also, there's definitely hair in there. Sorry. So this was just the right combination of shades for me. Glisten does a lot of, they've been continuing down this road of the 9-pan collaboration palettes. So they've released a couple since the Rawi Singh one. I don't think this one is still available. But all of the colors that are in here, or I think almost all of them, are available on the Glisten site. They sell individual pans, like single eyeshadow pans. They sell individual pans of liner, of split pan or single color liners. They also sell pots of liners, larger and smaller ones. These are water activated if you haven't been around, which means they will transfer with water or other liquids. They're not long setting, but also that means that they're generally dry in the pan. They have a long life to them. I have loved, used, and abused this. I definitely always have my eye out on Glisten collabs because their collab palette pricing is usually very, very fair. So if you see something that has colors that you are curious about, it might be the way to go. I also have a code, Imperfectly M, with the brand. I didn't have that code when I bought this. I just picked it up and then saw that they had an affiliate program once I realized I liked it and applied, and they accepted me. I really enjoy what Glisten does. I do feel like they're very supportive of creators, and 2022, even as I said, like, it was a really bad year for me in a lot of ways, it was my most creative year in terms of makeup and creative expression, and water activated liners were a huge part of that. So I couldn't not give this a shout out. I also just felt like this was such a nice collection of colors that I was like, this is so Emily. And it pretty much has been. I'm going to give you like 2 that have tied for like the last spot. I'm going to end on a different product. We're going to give you 2 that's kind of tied in terms of importance. So I guess technically it's like top 11, whatever. I haven't been wearing them as much, but I have to shout out magnetic lashes. I'm wearing them today. The magnetic liner and lashes from Kiss. For years, for over a decade, I just felt like lashes aren't for me. I have said this a million times, but I'll say it again. I have astigmatism. I also have fat fingers and small eyes. That combination makes even the glue that's in the wing liner or whatever, it makes applying lashes damn near impossible. Even if I'm applying the glue really close to my lashes, I always somehow manage to put lashes like fucking gapped or weird. And with the magnetic liner, there's just more flexibility for like shifting the lash once it's on. It just has changed things for me. I have picked up a bunch of different pairs of lashes. I've seen more brands expanding into the magnetic liner lash thing. And it's just been so fun to be able to be a lash person if I want to be. My biggest complaint is that it does like, it does tend to require a black wing liner, which I think is why I've kind of, been using them less lately, just because I was getting kind of tired of that. But the accessibility that this opened up for me, I can't understate like how much it means to me. A lot of love for the Kiss ones in particular. Don't do the Ardell ones. Don't. And don't even fuck with those. The magnetic, like the 2-layer magnetic lash. No. The other thing that kind of tied with the magnetic lashes as favorites is the Katie Jane Hughes Spectrum set. I bought this, was it also back in March or April or May? It was on super sale. So I got the entire set. I got the eye detail set. I think I got like duplicates of a couple of the brushes because of what I got. It was like super sale. I really like these brushes. So my winners are the face brushes and the eye detail brushes. I'm not a super huge fan of the regular blending brushes. I just tend to prefer natural hair brushes, but I fucking love the different face brushes. They're like all blush brushes to me. I have not really had like these kind of extreme duo fiber before. They're super soft. They will stain, especially if you don't wash your brushes as often as maybe you should, like I don't. The number 8 for concealer and like face blending, fucking love this. And then the eye detail brushes, the sharpest little liner brush. I have a couple of the longest graphic liner brushes. This is a really cool liner brush. This detailer shape is also awesome. It's very thin. It's like really nice for either like carving out or applying shimmers. I find that the super small eye detail brushes are what I really like it for, and the face brushes. The regular kind of blendy eye brushes are fine, but they're not my favorite shapes for my hooded eyes. I'm happy to have them in my collection, but the other ones are really where it's at for me. So number 10, I'm calling it number 10, even though it's number 11, whatever. So when I was looking at kind of like favorites and stuff that's newer to me versus what I talked about last year, I did in some capacity want to really touch on some things that are newer to me because I don't bring in a ton of new makeup. So I'm talking about the same stuff on a regular basis. But this last one had to get a spot on my list. I think the Wet n Wild might have been in my favorites last year too. So we're starting and ending with older favorites. The Blends palette. Still a die-hard favorite of mine. I love this palette. I really enjoy the formula. I love the variation in like tone and depth. I love how I can use these on the face for like blush drapey kind of looks. I can use them on the eyes. If I wanted to, I could go in with like Duraline or setting spray with some of the deeper shades, especially, and do like graphic liner or really like detailed kind of like application. It's just everything I said last year about how like it feels like a painter's palette. It feels like something I could just have open and just like dabbling in. I still feel that way. I love the way this formula interacts with each other, like how they blend together. Outside of actually this pink, because I feel like I do a lot of pinky blush draping, but I feel like outside of that, some of these don't look as loved, but I have been enjoying the hell out of this. For Halloween, I just kept reaching for this. I have a lot of mattes, like I've gotten a lot of great newer, and not even newer mattes, like from Lethal. I have some palettes. I don't really reach for palettes as much as I do my singles, but this is just it stays out here in my filming area where, I do tend to keep some makeup out here, but I try to rotate. This stays out here. It's the one rainbow palette I need. And it's actually really well performing, and that's why I keep reaching for it. Because I've said it a million times, I'm not inherently drawn to rainbow palettes, but if you give me a rainbow and you give me a fucking phenomenal formula and like the range of depth to it, I love this palette. I will keep on loving it. I think because I have such a range with this, I don't feel drawn to like dabble in other brands, even other palettes from Blend Bunny, although I think I would like the Surge palette. But this formula and this color range, it's love. So that's it. That's 10-ish, kind of, sort of 10 favorites from 2022. If you enjoyed this, definitely let me know. Let me know if anything that I mentioned today is one of your favorites, or feel free to share a favorite makeup or skincare or whatever product from 2022 in the comments. Don't forget to take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday. And thank you again to my patrons and my channel members. And thank you everybody who is here watching. Bye, friends.